The number one rookie mistake that almost everyone who starts seeds for the first time indoors makes is thinking that they can grow their seedlings on a sunny windowsill. There you go. Such beautiful sunshine coming from that south-facing window. You're going to grow just fine. Yep. What ends up happening is the seedlings, when they emerge, they start to reach towards the light. They get slender and long and leggy. And while that slender, long, leggy look might work really well for a supermodel, not so much for your seedlings. Weak seedlings means weak plants. You want short, stocky seedlings. Those are the healthy ones. And in order to do that, you need not just the right kind of lighting, but also the right kind of setup. And in today's video, which is part 2 in a masterclass series that I'm doing, I'm going to be showing you a couple of different ways in which you can set up a very, very basic grow station and then a little bit more of a scalable one. And I'll also show you a very nice looking one that's really easy to set up. So 3 options for you in this video. Hey folks, if we haven't met before, my name is Tara. I garden in the Bay Area, and you may have found my channel because of my green stocks, of which I've got 14, soon to be 15, and I've got an entire playlist on how to grow in the green stock, all kinds of tips and tricks. So I'll put a link, go check it out. But this is all about seed starting, this masterclass that I'm doing. And I've already done one in which we've talked about prep. How do you figure out how to prep and plan for when to plant what seeds depending on your last frost date? So today's episode is all about setting up that indoor grow station. And then the next class is going to be about what you should be planting 10 to 12 weeks before, then 6 to 8 weeks before, and finally 2 to 4 weeks before, how to take care of your seedlings and how to get them transplanted out into the garden. So make sure to follow along so you can learn and grow with me. And I'll be also showing you all the things that I'm going to be growing for my green stock along the way for those of you that are interested. Now, I know I'm standing in front of a pretty nice looking grow station here, pretty fancy looking one, if you will. And this is not really about fancy grow stations. This is how to kind of get you going, especially for the beginner. I don't think you should invest in anything too fancy until you figure out that seed starting indoors is actually your thing. And it took me a couple of seasons before I really got the hang of seed starting. But I'll tell you, once you learn how to start from seed and you're able to do it consistently well, there is no turning back. It is an addiction, and you're going to get addicted to starting seeds because you will get so many varieties that you can't really get easily in the nurseries and the big box stores. And gosh, for pennies on the dime, right? It's going to be so much less expensive, and it's just so much fun. So much science involved, so much learning. So let's dive into that indoor grow station, because you can't really start seeds indoors well unless you've got a really nice setup. You don't want to build frustration early on into the process because you're struggling because something's not right. Either the lighting is not right, or you're getting insects and pest damage and all kinds of things. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and that's why I'm here to step you through that process and help you on that journey. So one of the questions that you may have is, why even bother to start seeds indoors? I personally start pretty much everything indoors. But why? What is the benefit? Doesn't Mother Nature just sort of dump seeds outside and they grow, right? Right? Really? No, Mother Nature knows exactly what seeds to plant, when to plant, how to plant, where to plant. It all comes together for her. You are not Mother Nature. So you're going to have a lot of trial and error before you get it just right. Plus, Mother Nature has the advantage of throwing seeds in the millions just to see what will stick. It's called survival of the fittest. That can get pretty expensive if you try to do that. So that's reason number one. The other reason is you may live in a climate that has a very short growing season. Now, I happen to live in California, the Bay Area. We can grow year round, but that's not the case for someone, say, in Minnesota, where you've got a very short growing season. You want to be able to start seeds indoors so that you're not wasting time after your last frost date trying to start them outdoors. And then before you know it, your season is over. Yet another reason why you want to start them indoors is because larger plants have a much better chance of surviving outdoors than tiny, teeny plants. So something like this that has barely got its first true leaves, They're delicate plants. They may look sturdy and hardy with all the care that I'm giving them indoors, but if I put them outside in the ground, the rain's going to come and wash them away. The insects are going to come and get them. These plants are going to be weak and they're going to have to go through a significant transplant shock from going inside outside. And then if you start them outside directly, they probably may get eaten even before they see the light of day, so to speak. So yeah, larger plants just tend to do so much better when they go in the ground because they are that much stronger. So what exactly is an indoor grow station? It basically is just a very controlled environment where you are controlling all the factors that are needed to grow a healthy seedling. Factors like light, factors like heat and temperature, factors like humidity, factors like the pests that can get indoors and get to your plants. All of those things are managed by you very, very carefully and with due diligence and looking at your seedlings every day so that you can keep them growing and keep them healthy, and you can nip any problem that's happening in the bud so that your plant will grow nice and big, and when it's ready to go in the garden, it is really strong and it has a high chance of survival. First, let's quickly do a recap of all the things you're going to be needing to set up your station. Let me flip you around and show you. First off, you're going to be needing a shelf of some kind. So I have got these shelves. If you're doing it on your kitchen countertop, you can do that as well. But if you're using shelves, this one is actually 3 feet wide. I recommend the 4 feet wide because they actually will hold two 10-20 trays. And let me show you. This is what's called a 10-20 tray. And you can put 2 of these side by side, or you can put 4 of these like this under it. Now I have only this 3-foot one because my husband wanted the other. And anyway, he went ahead and set up the grow lights for me, so I am not complaining. But if you can get 4 feet, that would be ideal. Now don't be skimpy about it, especially if you're putting your trays like this, vertically, and you're putting 4 trays, you want at least 4 of these tube lights. So there's 2 in each of these. I don't want to blind you, but yeah, you want to have ample coverage for the entire length of it. In fact, even if you're doing this, I would suggest that you have 4 of these grow lights. So that's 2 plus 2, and just make sure that they're spaced appropriately so that your entire seed tray is covered. If you don't do that, guess what's going to happen? You got it. Leggy seedlings, the ones that are along the edge that are not getting ample light, are going to lean inside, and you got that leggy seedling problem that you're trying to avoid in the first place. And then next, obviously, you're going to need something to start your seeds. Now, because I start seeds regularly, I have gone ahead and invested in what I believe is best in class seed starting trays that you can possibly buy. These are from Vego Garden, and yeah, they are super sturdy and they will last me pretty much forever. You can see the 3 sizes over here. This is a huge monster called the Giga, but most of my seeds or seedlings are able to grow to full size in something like this. And I usually start them off in this. But really, if you are just getting started growing seeds indoors, you've got so many options. Just get something, a yogurt container, and, toilet paper rolls that you can kind of fold the bottom of. They make a nice little completely decomposable seed starting tray. Be creative. Don't go out and buy anything unless you're actually sure that this is something that you're going to want to do long term, because this stuff can be expensive and you don't want to put extra plastic into the environment if at all possible. Next, you're going to need grow lights. Now, these grow lights have a Kelvin rating, which is the color rating of, I believe it's something like 5,000 and above, and a lumen rating, which is the brightness of 4,100 and above. So you want to get something that's the color of daylight. Now, you can buy fancy grow lights that have all kinds of different colors, but frankly, to start seedlings, all you need is daylight. So these are just LED sharp lights that I got from my local big box store. You can get, smaller size as well. This is a 2-foot wide one, but just make sure that it is daylight. And, you've got that Kelvin and lumen rating of roughly 5,000 and above for each. Now, while we're on the subject of lights, I also wanted to mention that you should be able to raise and lower the distance between your seed tray and your lighting. So little seedlings, do really well if the distance is very close, 2 to 6 inches. And in order to do that, you need to be able to either raise up your tray, and I use something like this. You just put something like this underneath, and then you can put this on top, put 2 or 3 of them together. Or you can get something like this little chain. I can change the level by unhooking this and putting it a little bit tighter, or I can loosen it a little bit, but you have to have some way by which you can change the distance as the plants emerge and as the plants grow. Next, and really important, you are going to need something like this. These are yellow sticky traps, and they are highly essential because fungus gnats, which are probably one of the biggest causes of disaster and can kill your seedlings, will find your seedlings. Look at this. I've got a whole bunch of fungus gnats. Even though I use very sterile soil and all of that good stuff, fungus gnats will find your seedlings. And it's not the gnats that are the problem. It's the larvae. They lay their eggs in the soil, the larvae hatch, they eat away at the roots, and then they also cause fungus to grow. And this thing called damping off happens. Your seedlings all die. Very, very bad news. So be proactive. Don't wait until you see the fungus gnats to get the yellow sticky paper. Get it beforehand, get it right at the time that you're setting up your seed station. And you'll also do some kind of maintenance because some of them are going to evade that trap, right? So this thing, these mosquito bits, they have an active ingredient called Bacillus thuringiensis, something like that. But basically, it's used for mosquito control. You throw it into standing water and it kills off the mosquitoes, and it is approved for organic gardening. And it is also indicated for fungus gnat control. So you can see over here, sprinkle or spread the granules over the soil until the area is covered water as you normally would. So that's how you use it. And use this all the time to keep fungus gnats under control. Another thing that you can use is hydrogen peroxide. So I think this is 3% hydrogen peroxide, and you want to dilute it 1:4, and then you just sprinkle it or spray it topically over the soil, and that also helps kill off that larvae. Yeah, make sure you keep that larvae under control. And getting to some of the more optional items, but in my book, they're required, but technically you can argue that they're optional. This dome, this humidity dome, seedlings like that humid environment to grow. So until the seedlings sprout, I usually keep this dome on. This keeps not just the moisture in that nice humid environment, but it also keeps the heat inside. And speaking of heat mats, that's another thing that a lot of people say are optional. I always use heat mats for germination because most seeds do require a temperature of 75 degrees and above to sprout. So you can see right here, 70 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. But as soon as the seedlings sprout, you want to really take off the mat. That's needed only for germination. And unless you're growing summer crops like peppers and things, you can, in that case, you can keep the mat. But for most vegetables, as soon as they sprout, you want to remove this mat because the heat is going to cause them to grow very fast. And again, you want to avoid leggy plants that are not strong because they grew too fast. And then finally, with all of that humidity and stuff, you need something like this. This fan turned on, for 5 minutes once an hour or so is going to help not just keep the environment a little less humid and keep the fungal activity development under control. It's also going to cause the seedlings to kind of gently sway. You're trying to mimic outdoor conditions, and that will also result in stronger stems, and the seedlings will grow up just that much stronger as if they were growing outside. Now, a couple more things that you will need. One is for these lights, you do need a timer. Now, I have all of my switches connected via smart switches, so I can program all of that on my phone. I usually keep the lights on for 16 hours and off for 8 hours. And then the heat mat as well. You can buy these heat mats with temperature control. You want to make sure that it doesn't exceed that, 75 degrees or so. And once it gets to that point, you want to turn it off because sometimes, they get a little too hot for the seedlings. So in order to make sure that the temperature is managed, you want that thermostat. And a lot of these seed starting mats, I will, by the way, put links to all of these products, Amazon links, so that you at least have an idea of what you should be getting. And if you choose to buy it, you can as well. Now, I do have an entire full-length video where I talk about all the steps that I go through to completely automate my indoor grow station. I've got a grow tent actually in my bedroom where I've got it all set up, completely automated, the lighting, the temperature, the humidity, all of it. So if you're curious and interested, I'll put a link to it somewhere here as well. All right, the moment that we've been waiting for, let me show you how to actually do the setup. The first one that I'm going to show you is probably one of my favorites because it was the very, very first setup that I did. And I want to give credit to Callie Kim because she is whom I learned it from. She's got a fantastic gardening channel and I will put a link to it. Just go check out her videos. She's great, especially for beginner gardeners. And yeah, this is the clamp light with the milk container setup. So let me show you up close. Yeah, so these clamp lights you can get from any hardware store. I think I got this from Home Depot, and it is really nice because it comes with this clamp, and you can use this clamp to adjust the height on a pole. I'm using a little metal pole here. You can use a PVC pole, but I have stuck it into a milk carton or milk jug that has sand in it to keep it nice and stable. So yeah, and this is what it looks like. It's got obviously the aluminum on the inside. I am using a grow light inside. The bulb is a grow light bulb, and this actually helps concentrate the light, the metal coloration. And you put your thing underneath it, just like this. And there you go. You've got a lovely little grow station set up. Now, this can be easily used for growing things like lettuce or just any small setup like this, no bigger than this, because you want to make sure that the light covers the entire space. But this is quite a few plants that you can grow, especially if you're growing a very small garden. Now, you can double this up so you can make one more just like this. I used actually a vodka bottle, the big one that you get from Costco after I drank it all. I'm just kidding. I used the vodka to make vanilla actually. And you can use two of them side by side at different heights. But you get my point, right? You can make two identical ones like that. And then you can put a bigger seed starting tray. This is a 1020 tray. The reason it's called 1020 is it's 10 inches by 20 inches. It's a standard size. And that way you've got light covering the entire setup, and you've got a nice little kitchen countertop or table setup like this that you can put anywhere in your house. Doesn't occupy a lot of space. Now, you may not exactly like the look of this, in which case there's another option. This lovely light over here is from Vego Garden, and turn it on, and you've got various settings over here for seeds, for leafy greens, fruits, herbs, etc. And this can hold probably enough light for an entire 1020 tray. It also has this nice swivel capability. Obviously, it's going to cost you more than the setup that I just showed you, but if you want to have something that's looking really nice on your kitchen counter, then this is definitely a great option. It's got a magnet over here, so if you've got something magnetic, or you can get one of those 3M magnetic stickers and stick it under your kitchen, whatever shelves, and right there, you've got a grow light. By the way, you can buy these separately. You don't need to buy it with this stand, but the stand is nice because it has the ability for you to raise and lower the height without doing all those hokey things that I just showed you with the blocks and things. Yet another option is this 2-foot grow light. Again, this is a shop light, pretty standard. You can get it in any hardware store, and you can hang a string like this and put it on something like this. I've got a little staple hook on the top here, so you can hang it, have two like this, and you've got a grow light set up right here. There is the switch. There we go. It's not connected. There we go. So something like this is also a really nice and very cost-effective arrangement for just a kitchen top grow system. So those setups that I just showed you, obviously they are small setups, great for beginners. Actually, I highly recommend it if you're a beginner to do something on a small scale. But if you're really serious and into it and you know that you're going to do this for the long haul, make the investment in a larger grow station. Let me show you a little bit more on how this all sort of fits and scales. So like I told you, get these chains to raise and lower the lights. They're actually much more convenient than having blocks or bricks. And yeah, these are, again, just sharp lights, and they can kind of link together as well. So the ones that I have here don't link, but you can have them link one to the other so that you don't have all these cables like I've got running over here. I actually bought some not too long ago, the linked lights, and they didn't work as well. Not really sure why, but these are good, robust, pretty standard shop lights that you can get that will last you for years and years and years. And they actually don't take up that much electricity. Make sure that they are LED shop lights. Yeah, so in a setup like this, I can grow lots and lots and lots of seedlings. And again, get the 4-foot shelf if you have a choice, rather than this 3-foot shelf, which I picked up actually for free from someone on Nextdoor. So back to my last setup here, I did want to show you a very, very easy to set up and very nice looking system from Vego Garden. Obviously, it's going to cost you a little bit more than getting all the parts and putting it all together. But if that's not your thing, you know, that whole DIY thing, then this is really a great option. Plus, it looks beautiful. Let me show you up close. So I have got the 4-tier grow station, and they also come in 3 tiers with a shelf at the bottom. They come in longer sizes. Everything is very modular. You can actually make a kitchen top system from these by doing just a 2-tier, 2-high, shelf system. These shelves are movable, so if you want to move your little seedlings up closer to the light, you can take this shelf and move it up a level. And then they've got these fantastic, absolutely fantastic grow lights, which, by the way, you can buy independently. You don't have to buy it with the system. I told you about the magnetic top, and the lights are really, really great. As you can see, my lettuce over here, it is just growing like crazy. It is just beautiful, and I'm harvesting from it regularly. I actually wanted to grow cilantro in this, and I kept eating at the lettuce thinking that eventually it's going to die, but it absolutely loves the spot, and it is so thriving. The more I harvest, the more it is growing. Talk about your cut and come again. So cilantro is just going to have to make do in a little container on the side over here. I've also got this herb garden, my butter crunch lettuce growing so nicely, again, under the lights. The lettuce does seem to really love lights that are up close and that are really, really strong. So you've got all of those various settings on the lights depending on what you're growing. So this is a super nice setup. And yeah, it's going to set you back a little bit, but that is something that is up to you on how you want to do it. And my vodka bottle is gone up here because I want to create yet another level. I got a little peperomia plant that I'm starting up there. All right, you guys. So stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. I'm going to be publishing one every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific. So sign up for that playlist and set the notification bell on so that you know when I publish a video. And the next one is going to be all about actually starting seeds. I'm going to be starting my cool weather herbs. I'm going to be starting some of my hot peppers. I'm going to give you all kinds of great tips on how to get those started. There are certain techniques that you can use for better and faster germination. I'm going to be spilling all the beans, sharing all of that with you in the next episode. So thanks for hanging with me, folks, and I wish you a very successful growing season. Until next time, live green and love your greens.